Thank you for joining us to learn even more about the QuoteWerks Configurator. The Configurator is a powerful tool for assembling grouped and simple bundles on the fly by walking through a series of prompts that help a sales rep decide which parts to include. If you have not already reviewed the Basic and Intermediate Configurator videos, we encourage you to do so. In this advanced tutorial, we'll take a look at the more advanced flowchart features that empower us to create more complex and sophisticated configurations. These options will allow us to have more flexibility in how selection containers are organized and navigated by the user. We'll start by cloning the configuration that we worked on in the Intermediate Configurator video. We do that by navigating to the Configurator window and by taking our configuration and cloning it. Now we can edit our new configuration. So far we've only used default branch to link our selection containers. Now we're going to use a more advanced branching method with the navigation only branch. This kind of branch gives users a set of options to choose from without necessarily requiring that they select an item. If we wanted to include a lot more televisions in our configuration, we might want to categorize them so the list doesn't become too long and overwhelming. Let's create 2 more containers for specific groups of TVs. We'll start with our HD TVs. And we'll create a second one for plasmas. Now we'll fill up these 2 containers with all the HD TVs and plasma TVs. We'll choose Add Item and search for HD TVs. Let's also add the subtotal item that we discussed in the intermediate video. Make sure to switch the line type to subtotal, so let's do the same for the plasma TV container. Here we'll search for plasma and we'll add the 4 televisions. And we can also add the subtotal item. Next, we'll create the navigation branches to see how that works. We'll start by selecting the TV container and dragging it over to the HDTVs container. The default branch is selected by default, but you'll notice that there are also other options here. We'll be using the navigation only branch, but notice that the other options here are part numbers for the various items that we have in our TV container. For now, we're going to be using the navigation only branch. This will create a new option for the salespeople on step 1. So instead of choosing one of our original options, they can choose to navigate to more HD TVs and choose from there. And we'll do the same thing for plasma TVs. The last step is to designate what happens after these containers, which means we'll need a branch that goes somewhere else. We can just send the user to the same receivers containers that all others are using. So we'll select the HD TVs container, connect it to the receivers container, and choose default branch, and do the same thing for our plasmas container. Now this is starting to look like an advanced configuration. Now let's open the TV container. Notice the 2 new options at the top of the window with the type Navigator. These represent the choices to move over the corresponding selection containers for more HD TVs or more plasma TVs. This arrangement can be useful if there are common items that can be listed in the main container, but there are longer lists of less common items that can be listed in subcontainers for special cases. If a user just selects a common item from the main TV container, they'll follow the default branch and go on to the receivers container, but if they select one of the Navigator options, instead, they'll go on to the corresponding subcontainer. Next, we'll take a look at the third and final type of branch. The part number based branch is similar to the navigation only branch, but requires the selection of an actual item and then routes the user based on which item they selected. It's a good guide to the user to select accessories that are specific to a part that has already been included in the bundle. So let's try that technique and connect a container to our existing containers for accessories for our 2 largest plasma TVs. We do that by creating a new selection container and naming it Accessories. We then want to click on that and add some items. In this case, we'll add 3 items as accessories. Next, we want to create a connection between our plasmas container and our accessories container. Again, default branch is going to be there by default. However, as we have discussed, what we want to do here is to create an accessories branch for our 2 largest plasma TVs. So what we're going to do is we're going to select one branch for our 61-inch TV by selecting the 61-inch part number and hitting OK. And we're going to be adding 2 branches, so we're going to go ahead and bring this over to the side so that we have plenty of room to add our additional part number. Once again, we're going to click on the plasmas container and drag it over to accessories. And this time, we're going to choose the part number for our 50-inch TV. So here we've created 2 part-based branches, but we have not resolved this by connecting it to a further container. To do that, we're going to click on the accessories container and drag over to receivers and use the default branch. That means that users, when selecting plasmas, if they select one of the 50-inch TVs or the 61-inch TVs, will be prompted to choose accessories based off the list that we created. Once they've chosen those accessories, they'll then progress to the next step, which would be to receivers, just like all other users in this particular configuration. And that's it. So just to recap the changes that we've made, we use 2 navigation-only branches to make longer lists of HD TVs and plasma TVs available in addition to the more common TVs already listed in the TV container. This will let our sales rep quickly choose from the common list most of the time, but they can still browse the longer lists of items when they need to. We use 2 part number based branches to make optional accessories available for 2 kinds of plasma TVs. This will automatically guide users to the list of accessories whenever they're quoting the 50 or 61-inch TVs without requiring them to remember this on their own. And we use the default branches to connect all of the new containers back to the receivers containers, so no matter what choices the sales reps make, they will eventually be routed back to the receivers option and move on from there. Let's test out the enhanced config and see how the new options will work for the sales rep. We'll start by selecting our advanced demo config and hitting start to start the configuration. On step 1, we're being asked to select a TV. So we'll start by adding our television's header. And we could easily select one of the options that are listed here. However, to show you how our different type of branching works, we'll choose to branch to plasmas, and we'll add that, and you'll see we'll progress to the next step. Here we'll be asked to select a different size plasma TV. In this case, I want to choose the 42-inch to start, and if I hit add and go to the next step, you'll see that it brings us directly to the receiver step. In this case, we're bypassing the accessory selection, and that's again based on the fact that it's using a navigation-only branch. If we remove the 42-inch TV and replace it with a 61-inch TV, we'll also add our subtotal, and hit next step, you'll see that we're brought to the accessories page, which is based on our part number navigation branch that we set up. We'll add a bracket for this particular TV, and then go to our next step. Now you'll see we're brought to the receiver screen to choose receivers only after we've selected our accessories. We'll add a receivers heading, choose a receiver, and include a subtotal for the receivers section. Next, we'll choose our speakers header, a couple options for speakers, and our subtotal for the speakers section. Finally, we'll be prompted to add this to our quote, and we can do that under existing headings, or we can create a new section header here, which I'll do, and I'll name it Entertainment System. And by clicking Finish, it'll add those to our quote and the quantity that we assign. And finally, we'll preview the document. Notice that each step from the configurator is now neatly arranged in its own section with a heading and a subtotal line. As you can see, the QuoteWerks Configurator is a powerful and flexible tool that can streamline the quoting process for both simple and complex scenarios, eliminating the need to look up related products and accessories and ensuring that every part of the bundle has been included. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about the QuoteWerks Configurator and its advanced features and options. If you'd like to learn more, feel free to check out our help files or contact technical support at 407-248-1481.